Morning, everyone. This is Armando from WSI ALM. Hope everyone's having a great Tuesday morning. Welcome to the October 8th Launchpad webinar. I'm going to be today with Vinish and going over some interesting topics, news. We have one case study, and definitely look forward to providing you with some information, valuable information, and gold nuggets for you to have during the week. I guess before I start, just wanted to do a sound check. If everyone would just let me know if they can hear us, if they can put through the chat window on the right hand side, yes, no, and that'll be great. If you can hear me fine, just let me know.
Yep, all good, Armando. Everybody's good.
Okay, so I guess to start off the agenda, we'll have some latest news and articles from Vinish. We're going to be reviewing the tool of the week, and this was a tool that we've kind of spoken about. I know that some ICs have approached us about this tool and wanted more information about it, so hopefully Vinish will spend some time evaluating that and providing you with best practices on using the tool. And we have our case study, and we'll be touching base on one of our clients, an IC's client in Pennsylvania, so we'll be touching base on that, and we'll have some questions and answers, period. So I guess I'm going to turn it over to Vinish so he can begin today.
Excellent. Great. Thanks, Armando. Good morning, everyone. I was reminded that it's not morning for everybody, so good afternoon or good evening, whatever the case may be. Great. Getting a pop-up here. Okay, all set. So without any further ado, let's actually start on with some news for the week. Got a lot of news to cover this week, so let's begin with the first one, which is interesting. So Bing's launched call extensions, and they've launched that with Skype. So for all of you that are not aware of Bing, Bing's got a pretty solid PPC platform as well. That's pretty much the biggest competition to Google, I'd say, out there. Yahoo essentially had Yahoo Overture previously. And a little bit of a background for those that are not sure about Yahoo and Yahoo Overture. So Yahoo Overture originally was the first platform that was the first PPC, pay-per-click, bidding-based platform for ad management. It was called Yahoo Overture. It was launched in about 1999-2000. That's essentially when it was launched. And then after that, Google came in 2002, 2003, essentially blew Yahoo off the water, and of course, with all those, the number of searches that were essentially, the number of searches that were taking place. Sorry, give me one sec. Just having a little bit of a challenge here. There we go. I think it should be all set. Apologies for that. So Google was launched in 2003 with their AdWords platform, and essentially just took over the whole PPC space with the sheer amount of traffic that was going through Google. And then Yahoo's pretty much kept on struggling since then. Bing got launched, and then, as you know, Bing and Yahoo tied up recently, about a year back or a couple of years back, and all of the Yahoo PPC is also now being managed through Bing. It's called the Bing Ad Center. That's essentially what's controlling Yahoo and Bing PPC ads. So MSN Ad Center has launched call extensions now. For those that actually do advertising at Google AdWords, call extensions have been there for a while in Google, and Bing has now introduced call extensions with their own PPC platform. What makes this really powerful is that Bing owns Skype, so they've integrated their call extensions with Skype, thereby making it easier for viewers that are actually seeing your ad, visitors that are seeing your ad in Bing or wherever they're seeing your ad. They can just click on the call icon, and if they're logged onto Skype, they can immediately do a phone call to the advertiser and connect. So that's really powerful, and this was long overdue, this feature. It was meant to be, so they've done their testing and they've launched it. So for those that are already doing MSN Ad Center Bing advertising, this is something interesting to activate in your campaign and see what kind of an impact this makes for your ads. Moving on. Okay, so Penguin 5 is now live. This is primarily aimed at spam. the whole Penguin update was essentially aimed at spam. So Matt Cutts confirmed about 3 days back that Penguin Live 5 is now live. It's aimed at controlling spam. And just for everyone that's not aware of the hierarchy of all the Penguin updates, we've put in a little screenshot that shows you all the Penguin updates that are taking place. So you had Penguin 1 that came in on April 24, 2012. And then so on and so forth. You had Penguin 2, 3, 4, and 5, and this is kind of the hierarchy that the Penguin updates followed. The latest one, Penguin 5, which Matt Cutts confirmed in his tweet, has gone live on the 4th of October 2013, impacting about 1% of all the queries. Again, watch your analytics really carefully. If you think you've been impacted by Penguin, or if you've seen any sort of like a decrease in traffic or an increase in traffic, whatever the case may be, you might have been impacted by this update. So something to think about. And later on in this webinar, we have a tool, a very interesting tool that we're going to feature, where you can actually check to see if your client's been impacted by any of these updates that Google's essentially been doing since the last year. So that's an interesting tool that should be of use for everybody. Great, moving on. So here's a couple of examples as far as Penguin is concerned, and these examples have been posted officially on the Google Webmaster Central blog, where you can actually look at these examples. So the first example, this is not the recent Penguin 5 example. These are just examples of what the Penguin update has been going after as far as the whole Penguin update series is concerned. So you basically have, so you have two examples over here. The first example, again, you can't really see it very clearly, but if you actually go to the link, you can see it quite extensively. It's basically keyword spamming. Again, pretty obvious. I mean, if you're doing this, that's just crazy. As you can see on the left-hand side, there's a bunch of keywords that somebody has put in their meta keyword tag, and there's probably over 150 keywords here that they've stuck in their meta keyword tag. I don't think anybody does this now, but the Penguin updates essentially went after sites that had straight-up spam examples of this nature. And then on the right-hand side, someone's tried to spam a particular keyword, which is payday loan, in an article that's totally not related to payday loans. So if you actually look at this example, you can see that this is actually talking about get fit using these simple and easy methods. And I'll just kind of read out the first line so you can understand the significance of the article. If you agree you're too active to get time and energy to exercise, you'll be amazed to find out available fantastic exercise. I mean, the article doesn't even read properly. It's just a whole bunch of words that are being put together, or it's basically an article spinner that's putting out this content. And as you can see, very strategically, every paragraph there's payday loan that's obviously hyperlinked to the client's website, whatever this client's website is. It's trying to rank for this keyword, and they've put this keyword in a very strategically in different paragraphs, but it's nowhere related to either the article or what this article is all about. So this is the kind of stuff that Penguin has gone after, so as to try and clean up the search results and provide more relevant results to the users. I'm pretty sure none of our clients are doing this, or none of us are doing this for our clients, so we're pretty safe when it comes to this territory. But the whole idea was that the latest Penguin update went live, which was Penguin 5, so it'll be a good idea to kind of take a look at the analytics, see how that's impacted your client's analytics performance. Great, moving on. So there's a company called CPC Strategy, and they've recently launched a very interesting report that talks about the 10 best shopping engines that are out there. Now, shopping engines are a relatively less known product placement technique for clients or for e-commerce sites or for merchants in particular. So this news is of importance for a lot of the ICs that deal with e-commerce websites, that deal with product-related websites, that deal with merchants, that deal with strict e-commerce related websites that you're trying to promote out there. So they took out the rankings for the 10 best shopping engines that are out there that you should basically be taking advantage of by putting up your clients' product lists in these shopping engines. And then they have great advertising opportunities as well. You can do PPC on these shopping engines so as to promote your clients' product lists. You can integrate your product lists with APIs so that as your product list changes, your inventory is getting updated real time in all of these different websites. So I'll pull out a couple of examples of the top 3 websites that are like the top shopping engines that are driving the most amount of visitors and buyer traffic on the internet as rated by CPC Strategy, so you can take a look. Great. So the first one that it talks about is Google Shopping. That's the first one that the CPC Strategy talks about. So for those that are not familiar with Google Shopping, here's the interface. The URL's right here, and for easy reference, we've also put the URL on the slide. So this is Google Ads Shopping. Very simple, straightforward. Sell your products in Google. You can click here to get started. If you need information or any assistance in terms of setup, Google's given a helpline, so you can actually call Google, and they can assist you as far as the setup is concerned. I'm sorry, I had a question. Okay, it's not a question, just a confirmation. That's good. So you can actually look at the product list. You can take the help of a Google executive to set up your product list on Google. You can set up your store on Google.com. And then again, it's going to be appearing on mobile and tablet devices. And then you can actually integrate this with a PPC campaign. So the 2 things that you need to set up a Google Shopping account is a Google Merchant account, where you'd be uploading all of your product inventory, and you also need to have a Google AdWords account so you can actually start bidding on some of the keywords that your products are associated with or your clients' products are associated with, and start generating immediate traffic. This is a great opportunity for e-commerce websites to take advantage of, and especially during either their top season with Christmas around the corner, this is a great way to promote your products, and also for your downtime. So whenever there's a downtime, if your business is seasonal with seasonal products, this is a great opportunity to actually push your products out there and get some traction and revenue happening for your clients. So the next one that was actually rated as the second best site was nextag.com. So let's look at Nextag here. So Nextag, this is the homepage for Nextag. It again syndicates, puts in a lot of products for merchants on Nextag, searchable. You can search for products over here. It's driving tons of business on this website. Again, you just click on the information link for merchants at the bottom. So if you go on to the seller page, you can actually get a lot more information as far as the information for Nextag is concerned, and get in touch with them. They can help you sign up as far as your product listings are concerned. They also have a PPC platform, so you can start bidding on your product list, your keyword list through their PPC platform, Nextag, and again start generating revenue and traction for your clients. The third one that has been featured by CPC Strategy is Pricegrabber. What this does again is that it's a comparison shopping site. So it scrapes the internet, it looks at all the different deals that are out there, puts it together for shoppers that come onto this website so that they can see, for example, if you're looking for a Samsung Galaxy, I'm just looking at the example right here, and you can type that in, and then you can hit search, and you can look at all the different prices that the different sites are selling that particular tablet for, and then make an educated decision on the product that you want to buy. And again, they also have a very sophisticated PPC platform. In order to get more information on them, just click on About Us. That takes you on to their About Us page. Click on Service Offerings. And there you go. So now you have information and their services that Pricegrabber provides based on sellers, manufacturers, co-branded advertising, online merchants, etc., and you can again get more information on setting up your storefront with Pricegrabber. Again, if you need any expertise or any help as far as setting up your product lists on any of these platforms, please do get in touch with us, and we can definitely guide you in the right direction for any of these shopping-oriented websites. And then there was 7 other shopping engines that were listed. There's Google. Now, again, for those of you that are not aware, Google also has a free shopping listing, so you can actually upload your listing for free, and then Google just indexes it. But they've been pushing it lower and lower after they introduced Google Shopping, because they want to get Google Shopping to take precedence, and then that's a revenue earner for them, because their whole PPC is based out of Google Shopping. So that's the reason why they want to promote Google Shopping more than just their Google product listing, which is free. And this has definitely been decreasing in traffic and in the revenue potential as we've experienced. But it still is Google. It's getting a lot of traction. It's getting a lot of traffic, so something to consider. But Google Shopping is the way to go if you're looking at maximizing e-commerce opportunities with Google. There's also Amazon product ads, shopping.com. Bing also has a shopping interface, so you can look at Bing, Shopzilla, Become, and Pronto. So these are the other 7 shopping-oriented websites that pretty much make up the top 10 shopping engines that the CPC strategy report has come up with. Definitely interesting information, and again, as I mentioned to you, with the Christmas season coming up, it's definitely good to take advantage of the shopping sites and come up with like special promotions and offers for your clients to get them up in these shopping engines. Great, moving on. So Google, again, we can't have a week without Google being in the news. And, I think we've done 2 Launchpad webinars, and Google's pretty much been on the news every single time, and it's Google. So here goes again. So Google's made an interesting acquisition. They've acquired this company called Flutter. And Flutter is one of the top 5 downloaded apps across the internet. And what Flutter essentially does is that it takes your webcam and then it turns your webcam into a motion detector, so that it can basically see your movements that you're making with your palm or your hand, and then translate those movements into actions that are done by the website for you. So a pretty interesting acquisition, because this essentially is a move from Google into a detection space where, a sort of a motion detection space where, I mean, the potential for this technology is limitless. You can use motion detectors to do searches on Google, which is going to essentially increase the speed at which you can do your searches on Google. So the potential is limitless. Google acquired Flutter for $40 million. And of course, I'm sure they have a lot of plans for this. Let's actually go to the website, Flutter. So there you go. So this is Flutter's homepage, and again, they're, as you can see, very proudly announcing the news of the acquisition by Google. And their homepage gives you a very interesting, it gives you a sort of like an illustration on how Flutter works, so you can kind of read through it. And as you can see, this is what your webcam is seeing when you hold up your palm. This is what Flutter is seeing, the whole software, the way it kind of detects your motion and your hand and your movement. Your CPU is obviously processing all this information in binary terms, and then Flutter is using all this information, processing it, and then it's using it to control your media. This technology has been there and has been used by a lot of the gaming companies. PSP uses this technology where you can actually do motion controlled, you can just play your video games through sort of like motion controlled sensors. And Flutter's kind of taken this to the next level, and very popular. As I mentioned, it's one of the top 5 downloaded apps on the internet. Google took notice of that and picked up this company, $40 million, and let's see what they do with this company. Great. I think we have a question here. Okay, great. So I'm getting a lot of questions as far as the shopping engines are concerned. Rest assured, we'll definitely address these questions at the end of the webinar. So moving on. Bing's again in the news. They've done again something really cool. What they've done is that they've incorporated Pinterest boards in their image search for their Bing search engine. So if you're on Bing and then you click on images, you click on image search, and then you start searching for images of different kinds, you'll start seeing Pinterest boards being featured on the right-hand side of Bing Images. So in this example, you're just searching randomly for puppies of a certain breed, the Golden Doodles, and you'll see that on the right-hand side, Bing has started pulling information from Pinterest boards. So the first one is Pinterest by Patty McCartney. So her Pinterest board has been showcased for this particular keyword on Bing, and you can click on it and you can look at her board. The next one is Nina Height, and then there's one by Claudia, and then there's another one by Diane. So these Pinterest boards have been indexed for this particular keyword search, and one can only imagine what it's doing for traffic to these particular Pinterest boards, which tells us that Pinterest should be an integral part of a social media marketing strategy. It's generating and driving a lot of traffic. I'd read somewhere in the news recently where Pinterest was actually generating more referral traffic than Twitter. So that's quite powerful and definitely something to be considered. And with this incorporation of Pinterest searches in Bing image search, it's only going to skyrocket the referral traffic from Pinterest. Definitely something to be taken into account when you're planning your social media strategy for your corporate accounts or for your clients with these Pinterest boards, setting them up and generating referral traffic from Pinterest. Great, moving on. So this might be of interest for all of our USICs that are logged on. I'm sure you guys are frustrated with the whole government shutdown that's happening in the US right now, and everybody's watching nervously the countdown to the debt ceiling, which I think is probably 10 days away, because there's going to be a ripple effect. You know, Canada is totally reliant on the US for their economy, so you're not alone. You know, you'll take a lot of us down if you guys go down as far as the debt ceiling is concerned. So fingers crossed. Hopefully that doesn't happen. So Obamacare's enrollment site was launched at the healthcare.gov, the official website, and you could basically log on to the website and sign up for healthcare information related to Obamacare. And so this site was launched, I believe, 4 days back, and in just 2 days, the site got 7 million visitors, and boom, the site went down. So, you know what, again, there's two sides to the argument. One might be like, you know, didn't they foresee a lot of this traffic coming on? So, you know, I'm sure the web developers or the webmasters or the hosting companies, they're getting in trouble. But on the other hand, it's a government-controlled agency. They don't have unlimited funding, so there's two sides to why the website went down. But bottom line is, the website crashed, went down, 7 million visitors in 2 days for the Obamacare enrollment website, and definitely a lot of interest in this topic, especially in today's times. Something interesting to share with your clients or your prospects. So there's this company in the UK that did an interesting research and talked about the most visited websites across the planet per country. So Google's obviously in red, then you have Facebook that's in blue, and then you have Baidu in green, you have Yahoo in purple. As you can see, Yahoo is almost non-existent, and then you have mail.ru, which is in yellow. And then you have Yandex, which is an orange, again, almost non-existent. But as you can see, the world is essentially plastered in a sea of red and in blue. US, Canada, Google. Mexico, interesting, is Facebook. A lot of Latin America. So if you look at the west part, well, I would say technically the north, and moving down, you know, Argentina, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, if you're looking at these countries, very, very Facebook oriented. So that's the #1 website, the most visited website in those countries. And then you look at Brazil, and that's Google again. Europe, very heavily dominated by Google. It's Google all across the board in Europe. And then you have Africa. Again, the top part of Africa is quite interestingly dominated by Facebook, which kind of explains the whole Arab Springs that happened over there, and the importance of social media in the whole Arab Springs revolution. And then as you move down, it's again Google. Moving over towards Asia, India is all Google. Pakistan is Facebook, which is again interesting. And then you have Southeast Asia and all the islands. It's again Google. And then you move on to China, which is all Baidu. And as you can see, I mean, just look at the amount of green that's across the board that's spread out. So Baidu, huge search engine, especially if you're trying to focus in on China as an advertising strategy. That is the way to go. There's no Google in China. Google, as some of you might remember, was asked essentially to put, actually, they were undergoing a lot of censorship in China, so Google decided to pull out of China because they did not want to operate under these censorship rules. So they pulled out of China, and Baidu is essentially the #1 most visited website in China. And then moving on to Japan. Interestingly, Japan has Yahoo. So Yahoo is the most visited website in Japan, getting a lot of traction over there. So I think that's pretty much the only country where Yahoo is the most visited website across the board. So they still have a very strong presence in Japan. So that's information as far as the most visited websites worldwide are concerned. Good to share with your clients, with your prospects. If you have big clients, big prospects, especially big corporations, MNCs, multinational corporations, there should be an interesting graphic for them. It can easily be turned into an infographic or a blog post, and then can be shared with your clients. Good information to share across the board. Great. So Neil Patel, as you might know, is the guy that basically owns Crazy Egg, which was recently introduced as a partner in WSI's supply network. Some of you might have attended the webinar that they did a couple of weeks back, I believe, which kind of clashed with our webinar, the Launchpad webinar a couple of weeks back, and they gave a demo of Crazy Egg. Great software, love it. So Neil Patel also has another website where he blogs quite often, and that's really where he engages his audience and puts out a lot of good information, very quality information that he puts out. And once a quarter or so, he puts out these guides. And he's done the guides like the Advanced Guide to SEO, the Beginner's Guide to SEO. He's done a lot of other useful guides. We've showcased a couple of his guides in our past webinars as well. And he recently took out the definitive guide to copywriting, and this was done by Neil and his colleague Joseph. Excellent read. So I definitely recommend all the ICs to take a look at this copywriting guide. If you're doing copywriting yourself, definitely something to read about and incorporate as far as your writing techniques are concerned. If somebody else is doing the writing for you, please send this out to them, circulate it to them, because there's a lot of good information in this copywriting guide. Let's take a look at this really quick. Just getting a question here. Okay, some of you lost me. I apologize for that. Great. So here's the definitive guide to copywriting by Neil Patel. There's a whole introduction, and then there's 10 chapters, starting from laying a solid foundation for copywriting all the way down to better understanding your customers, persuasion secrets. There's about 10 chapters, I believe, finishing off with the golden rule of copy testing. So there's these 10 chapters, really good information, quality information. I love this chapter in particular, chapter 4, that talks about persuasion secrets of professional copywriters. So if I just click on it really quick. So he talks about the 4 persuasion tactics, emphasizing benefits over features. That's tip number 1. Then he talks about there's being specific, as specific as possible as far as your product is concerned, or the topic that you're writing about is concerned. And he's given really cool examples that can be incorporated with the copywriters. Tip number 3 is targeting the emotions when it comes to copywriting, hit their pain points. And then there's another tip, which is leveraging testimonials. nothing sells your credibility and your product more than testimonials, real life testimonials of people that have interacted with your company or your product or your offering, and then have spoken about it for everybody else's benefit. So again, a fantastic read. He's laid it out in a nice sort of like an infographic format. It can be shared, can be downloaded, can be sent across. You can even tweet it, etc., etc. So I definitely recommend you all to check out the guide. Great. Moving on. So we come to our tool of the week section, and we received a lot of requests from the ICs on reviewing this particular tool, so we picked it up for this week. It's basically a tool that is provided by this company called Barracuda, based out of the UK, and this tool helps you assess if your site or your client's website has either been hit or been impacted in either a positive or a negative way by any of Google's updates that have been taking place over the last year and a half or so. So we'd actually give you a live demo of how this tool works, and then how you can incorporate information that you get from this tool and then pass that information on to your clients. Great. So the first thing that you do is that you go on to Barracuda's homepage. So you go onto the homepage, and sorry, I was just looking at a couple of questions here. So you go onto Barracuda's homepage. The first thing that you do is you log on to this tool with the analytics. So I'm going to click on this link over here. It's going to ask you for permission to link your analytics with this tool, so you just hit accept. Once you hit accept, if you have a lot of profiles in your analytics account, then you basically have to choose the profile. So I'm going to choose Concilio's Kitchenware. We ran this report for this client recently, and I'm going to click on Concilio's Kitchenware. Now what it's doing is that it's actually syncing with Concilio's Kitchenware's analytics account, and it's actually incorporating all of the data with regards to Concilios and with regards to the actual tool. So it's giving me an error right now. Let's try this once again. It might be because of the speed that we have as far as this webinar is concerned. Let's try this once again. So I choose the profile once again, I choose Concilios, click on that, and then it's going to start incorporating the information. Let's see if it's able to run the data this time. Oh, and also another thing, you don't need to worry about any sort of data sharing, because it doesn't really capture or hold or store any information or any data, again, according to Barracuda. So they don't hold any data or any information as far as your client's accounts are concerned. They're just providing you a real-time API so that you can sync in your client's analytics with their tool, and then you can match up the information and see if your client has been, or how your client has been impacted by any of the updates that have been taking place. So here is where this is kind of like the result that you'll be getting. So as you can see, they've mapped out our clients' organic visits, all right, Google organic visits, with all the different updates that have taken place across the board. So as I can see, just around October, our clients' traffic spiked right before this update that had taken place. Let's say I want to dive into this and I want to get more information on this particular update when this happened. So I click on that link, and it actually tells me what this update was. So this was Panda Update 22, took place on this particular day, and then it also gives you a little bit of a press release or a little bit of an information on what this particular update was all about. And then what you can do is you can take this information, Panda Update 22, and just do up a search in Google and look up more information on the 22nd update for Panda that took place on the 20th of November, and really understand as to what this update was all about, what kind of sites got impacted, etc., etc. As we can see, this particular update was a very positive update for us because traffic started going up. And even before traffic started going up, if we actually go back and we start looking at an earlier update that was done, which was the 4th of November, which was Panda Update 21, is really where, again, our client's traffic was going up and up and up. So all of these updates were really benefiting our clients. But then there's like future Panda updates that have taken place over here, and our our clients' traffic has kind of like gone even across the board, and then it's going back up once again as far as traffic is concerned. A dip here because it's not really assessing data at this point in time. But so what we essentially did was that we took this information and then we looked at the client's analytics account across the board and compared, because their business is seasonal, so we have to keep that in mind as well. And this was essentially a little bit of the analysis that we came up with, that we shared with our clients. The fact that the Penguin and the Panda updates actually benefited our client as opposed to impacting them. Prior to the updates, a client was getting about 5,000 visits per month because we went back in the analytics account and looked at traffic patterns across the board. And then after the Panda updates in April, the site traffic peaked at about 10,800 visits in August of last year. And then December was also a strong month. Again, the time of the year also having an impact because it is a seasonal business. And then the Panda updates seem to have impacted the site, but it's again recovering in August and September. So if we go back to that data set, you'll see that again the traffic's kind of pretty much starting to climb once again. The U.S. traffic remains steady, so we also looked at the geo-targeting of the traffic. The U.S. traffic remains steady. The Canadian traffic was really driving all of the site traffic up. So that was another interesting statistic that we shared with the client. And then we also drove down the analytics data more granular, and what we found out was that there were two keywords, Le Creuset and Le Creuset Outlet, that were leading to this decline in the organic traffic, because these two keywords had just totally dropped out of the radar when we did a year-on-year comparison. So last year these keywords are driving a lot of traffic, and this year these keywords are totally not in the picture. And the client explained that pretty easily, saying that they had dropped this particular brand name from their inventory, which is the reason why they were no longer ranking for this particular keyword, and they were not interested in traffic that was interested in this particular keyword. So these are things that you also have to take into account when you're looking at the Barracuda tool and analyzing the traffic, seeing what sort of an impact it's really having for a client. Again, if you'd like us to do this for you, for any of your clients or your prospects, we can definitely help you with this, or you can even do it yourself as I just displayed to you. You can also look at the landing page visits variance, the keyword visit variance. So if you scroll down, you can choose different date ranges to compare your landing pages. So again, this is great for analysis and assessment. So if there was one particular landing page that was driving a lot of traffic last month, how is it doing this month as compared to last month in terms of traffic trends? This can also help you identify if there's been any sort of a drop in your ranking, because if a particular landing page was generating a lot of traffic for you and then all of a sudden you see a big dip, the first thing to do is to check that landing page's rank for that particular keyword. Is that still in that top position or whatever position it was in the previous month when it generated a lot of traffic for you, or has that actually decreased? So that's how you can look at the landing page variance data, and you can control date ranges. And you can also look at keyword variance. Unfortunately, with Google's switch to 100% not provided with regards to searches via Google, I think the relevance is going to be decreasing, because we will start seeing lesser and lesser data when it comes to the keyword variances. But you can always look at the landing page variance, which is something that we addressed in our last webinar when we talked about the other alternate ways to look at and analyze your keyword patterns in your analytics when you do not have keyword data in the first place. So the landing page analysis is going to get more and more prominence as Google starts hiding more and more keyword data in their reporting. Excellent. So this is the review of the Barracuda tool. I hope you found this beneficial. And moving back to our presentation. All right. Great. At this point, I'd like to hand over to Armando. Armando always tries to focus in on the IC client relationship and has a lot of good information when it comes to sharing or managing clients or giving them the information. And he's got, again, a really good slide that he wants to go over. So at this stage, I'll pass it on to Armando.
Thank you, Anish. Thank you for for passing the mic. Basically today we're going to be touching base. Last week I received a number of emails after the webinar in regards to what can be qualified as a good client. As last week we spoke a little bit about qualifying clients and being able to work with clients, managing their expectations. So I kind of did a little bit digging into the world of internet marketing and found an article by John Tavita. John is actually a former owner of a web firm in the U.S. And essentially, I believe he sold it, and now he's a director of a digital marketing company that, like WSI, the WSI network, they focus on providing internet marketing, digital marketing services to small, medium-sized companies. So it was a very relevant article based on his experience and his company's experience on finding qualities of a good client. Now, these are just 7 qualities. I'm pretty sure we can add more, and obviously with our vast international network, we can come up with at least 20 other qualities. But I guess just wanted to share with you the top 7 qualities that he found, and I definitely found them very relevant to our business within the WSI network, as I see internet consultants. Obviously, the first one that he mentions in his article is good clients have a realistic budget, and I kind of touched base on this last week a little bit about realistic expectations. And for as you guys go out there every day, every week, and meet with clients, perform IBAs, do initial meetings with the clients, you find out that the average client is most likely to be clueless on the cost of internet marketing or digital marketing, whether it's SEO, social media, advertising through paid search, or even redesigning their website. They're very clueless. I mean, unless they've really gotten burned by a previous supplier, for the most part, the average client, they don't really have a clue what the costs are involved. However, if you one quality that you can actually find in a good client, like a check mark, would be that the good clients, they do understand that marketing is key in their business, and in order to make money, they have to invest money. Okay, so they realize that marketing is an investment, not an expense. So as you're speaking with a new prospect, you kind of understand their underlying tone, their what they're saying, what the source of their pain is, and in reality, is this a client that understands that obviously in order to generate more business, they also have to invest. If they don't want to invest, if you find out that the reason he fired the last supplier was because he didn't have money or he didn't think that it was worth it, try to dig a little bit deeper. It's kind of like a job interview, I guess, where you're also interviewing them, and you want to make sure that you have somebody that realizes the value that marketing and you as a marketeer will bring to his business. So that's number 1.
Sorry, Armando, I just wanted to add something over there. Sorry, Armando. So one of the things that, and this is an analogy that we use on our side every single time when we're pitching to clients directly, and which is look at your website like a 24/7 salesperson. Here's a salesperson that's a living, breathing salesperson that never takes vacations, that never haggles about sick leave, etc. You don't have to pay any overtime to this person. It's working for you 365 days a year, 24/7, and is active and basically is available to you 24/7, selling for you, pitching out there to prospects for you. So you realistically have to look at your website like a salesperson and then quantify the spend, the marketing spend that you're doing to a website to that of a salesperson. I mean, how much would you be willing to invest in a salesperson when it comes to investing in your business and increasing your revenue? A decent salesperson out there, you're looking at a base of about $30,000, $40,000 a year to get a decent salesperson, let's say even $20,000. And that's how you kind of rationalize it with your clients, where you tell them, look, give me just half the budget. Even if you are investing $20,000 base salary on your client annually, give me half of that, or even 1/4 of that to start off a campaign with you, and then you see the difference that it makes. And this analogy really hits home with a lot of the clients, where they don't really look at their website like a revenue center. They don't really look at their website like their salesperson that they can invest in and they can actually generate revenue out of. So sorry again to steal the thunder there, Armando, but I just thought this point was kind of important to bring about.
No, thanks for sharing, Vinish. And actually, it leads to one of the analogies that John talks about, that he's kind of done some surveys, general surveys on the average cost of what people think the average or the magic number that a website should cost. And all the time people, he comes with a number, it's about $300. So if you have a $300 salesperson, it's going to deliver $300 sales results. So again, it's really about investing in that 24/7 salesperson that's going to get you more leads, more online sales, obviously more business. So very important point. Thanks, Vinish. The second one is good clients rarely haggle on price. So again, a client that values your professional expertise, your background, will most likely not haggle on price, right? They want to be fair. They value your services, and they realize that in order to get expert services, they're willing to pay for it. So very key when you're going through that checklist of understanding your prospect, that if you want to find a good client, you want to make sure that they're not haggling for everything. The general term nickel and dime you, right? Because those the ones that are cheap, as you know it, and we all have been with those clients, they're the ones that end up costing us more money. So again, you kind of want to take a look at that, that they don't for everything that you provide them, they're not haggling on the price. So very key point. The third one is good clients are more concerned about finding an expert they can trust. Okay, why? Because as you will realize with your good clients, and as you do a retro analysis of your best clients, the relationship with those clients goes to a different level, right? It's not just a trade. I provide you internet marketing services. You obviously give me money. No, it's not like that. The ones that you have a higher level of understanding, that they appreciate your work, that you also become more involved in, those are the ones you build a relationship with, and those are the ones that they're looking for you as an expert and they can trust. So we've all heard about that book, the Trusted Advisor, and I know that in my conversations with some of the ICs that I work with, some of them become very engaged with the client. They know them by first name, they know their kid's birthday, they have gone to some of their family functions, and those are the ones that you will be able to retain. Again, this is a quality of a good client. Not every client is going to be like that, but if you're looking for good clients, it's a quality. You want to be able to identify a client or a prospect that's going to treat you like an expert, and someone that that you can trust them, and they'll trust you on the guidance that you provide them. Okay, because if you have a client that all they think about is how much they're paying you, and are you really worth that money, and every time you meet with them on a monthly basis, that's why you get questioned, then you know what, you better think about that specific client. But this is another quality. The next one is good clients are willing to take advice. Obviously, kind of goes hand in hand with the one before. You are bringing a unique selling proposition, and that unique selling proposition is quality work, quality service, right? So during the analysis, during the process that you're interviewing or you're visiting your prospects throughout the IBA, and you're getting to know them, make sure that as you throw in a few questions to try to understand if they're open-minded, if they're willing to take your advice, because you may realize that the reason they fired the other supplier was because the other supplier gave them recommendations after recommendations and then never got implemented because the client did not listen. So very key. This is where you bring added value as a digital marketing consultant. That's what makes WSI ICs different. Okay, we're not just selling websites or digital marketing services, we're consulting. Okay, so that's very important. Good clients have a single point of contact. I'm pretty sure you've had a client where you brought them a mock-up of a new homepage for their website design or a PR piece or content writing piece, and it gets scrutinized by the whole board of directors or everyone within the organization. If it's a small mom and pop, everyone from the receptionist to the salesperson, everyone's read the article or content piece, or reviewed the homepage, mock-up design, and pretty much chopped it up and criticized it, right? So you got to be careful too. You got to find out those clients that have a single point of contact. That single point of contact, if it's a small business, could be a business partner, the general manager, or even a spouse. Bad clients will definitely show your work to the entire staff, and it just creates headaches because you're trying to please everyone, and at the end of the day, no one is happy. So that's another key point that he mentions. Point number 6 is good clients participate in the process, but not too much. Interesting here. You want a client that's he's willing to participate, he's willing to work with you, but at the same time there's a balance. There's a balance in participation. You are the expert, right? Marketeer, they are the experts in their business. So although feedback will help you move the project along, will help you move the project forward, counterproductive feedback will hinder and cause delays. So, and also will cause headaches. In some cases, pull your hair if the client is really trying to get really involved and actually telling you what to do. So you got to be able to, again, qualify your client, work with your client, and a lot has to do with educating them as well, educating them about your process and what level of participation you want from them. And this has to be this. Let's call it it's done at the upfront contract, which is what are the rules of engagement, and that happens early on in the process. Don't try to change someone 3 or 4 months or 5 months after you started working with them, because it's going to be tougher. Okay, so that's number 6. And number 7, good clients pay on time. Very important. You want to have clients that they're willing to pay you when they say they're going to pay you, and ideally you want to be paid up front. So clients who engage in bad behavior, those are the ones that you have to always be chasing them for invoices, and it just creates a bit of a accounting nightmare for you, and cash flow as well. So again, try to, in every question you're going through the IBA, and throw some of these questions in there for you to kind of qualify those clients and find which ones are the ones that have good qualities. Okay. So
I just wanted to share something else over here, Armando. Sorry to interrupt you again. keep doing that, but there's something else that I wanted to share with the ICs that have logged on today, and that is, in our experience, when our sales teams have gone out there, and if we have a client that actually is putting on clauses in our contracts, whether it's I'm going to review your deliverables in 3 months, or I need a 30-day opt-out clause, 9 out of 10 times, whenever a client puts in any sort of preconditions in a contract and changes the contract, is going to exercise that clause. And we've seen that 9 out of 10 times. Believe it or not, it happens again and again and again and again, to the extent where we've really looked at that trend and instructed our salespeople to watch out for any client or a prospect that changes our terms and conditions and puts in their own terms and conditions and puts in opt-out clauses or puts in early on reviews. It has not really worked out very well. So this is again something that we wanted to share, because this should be sort of like a red flag for you. Whenever a client changes your terms and conditions and puts in theirs, that's a red flag going up, because in our trends and patterns, we've seen that any client that actually changes any of the terms and conditions and puts in their own, especially 30-day opt-outs, etc., does not go through with the contract. So that's again something to consider and have sort of like a checkpoint for you. Please continue, Armando.
Yeah, so let's call that number 8. A good client will abide by your contract, not you abiding by their contract. So I think that's a great point. So as you can see, there's so many great things that you want to find out in a good client, but these are some of them. And I do agree with Vinish that if you have a client from the upfront trying to manage or steer or guide your work, your service, then most likely it's not a good client. If you can just, Venetia, just change the slide, and then we'll go into the last one. We just have a few minutes left.
Certainly.
Thanks. Okay, perfectly. So today we also want to share a case study very briefly because of time constraint. This is one of our clients in the state of Pennsylvania, one of our ICs, one of our great ICs that we work with. Basically, I wanted to share this specific client that we've been working for about nine going into 10 months now, I believe. And it's called SwissPetPampering.com. why I wanted to showcase this specific client was because it's a local client, very small business. You know, they don't have a huge budget. However, they, you know, since the IC has been working with them, they've been very successful. You know, since the beginning, developing their website. It's not, you know, the most grandiose website, but gets to the point and has generated business for the client. And we were lucky to work with the IC and her team in providing the SEO services, SEO strategy, and we started them with a local SEO campaign. We're targeting 3 locations and really focus on optimizing the website for three locations in Pennsylvania. We also did optimized PR pieces in the beginning. You know what, she didn't really know what PR was going to help her and how it's going to help her, and eventually she kind of caught on. We've been working with her for 8-9 months and have generated success for them. We've also done some local citations for them using the WhiteSpark tool and our other best business practices. And when some of the things that are coming out of our conversation with the IC is that when they began this business, they started part-time. It was something that evolved into more. Obviously, the IC had already set a very good foundation, a strong website. We came in and did the SEO, but the IC had also worked with the client in developing a very, I would say, it wasn't a high-cost social media campaign, but it was something that would generate them results, which was Facebook and videos. And so they had a social media component tied into the SEO, and continuously month to month we work together on that. So far, you know what, client is happy. She's very busy. She's getting lots of new business. As a matter of fact, she's expanding her business. She runs it out of her own home, and pretty much now, you know, she's like looking at bigger, better location, I would imagine. She's so successful now that she's moving towards other services that are, you know, they're providing with money. So she's had to cancel some of the services to focus on services that make her more money. So definitely a happy client. She's the buzz in the town. She also won some awards with Angie's List last year. And these are some of the keywords in this slide that we've been able to kind of get her ranking and generating traffic consistently. If you have I think the point of the story here is if you have a small client with not the greatest budget, but they're willing to work with you, you know, and they're willing to listen. This is what Sue has done from Sue's Pet Pampering. This is the type of results that we can kind of work together with the IC to get them. This is the case study for this week. I mean, if you have any questions, we can kind of talk about Sue offline. So again, this comes towards the end of for questions and answers. Talk a little bit about us, the infomercial about WSI ALM. I kind of went through this last week. We're based out of Toronto. We have we've been working since 1999 as an independent company, and obviously joined the network about 3 years ago. Been very happy working with ICs in North America. Overall, as a company, as an organization, we have over 400 clients servicing them worldwide. Strong background in franchising as well for any IC that's working with franchises and is interested in tapping into that industry. We have a background in that. And if you can move to the next one, Vinish. These are some of our clients that we worked with when the slide changes. Plan Canada. We're about to do a case study for one of the ICs here in Toronto on Plan Canada. So if you are looking at Google non-for-profit grants, definitely, you know, we can help you with that. We've had success with a few non-for-profits in Canada. And these are our services. If you have any questions about SEO, web development, or PPC, or content writing, you know, feel free to email us at I think the next was info@WSILM, or myself directly, armando@wsilm.com, and definitely we'll get in touch with you right away. So, Vinish, you want to take over for the final thoughts and questions that we may have?
Yeah, absolutely, Armando. So I've pulled out the question box, and I'm just trying to go through the questions that we have. We did have quite a few questions, so I'm going to try and see how many we can address. So the Penguin works in which platforms? Paul has asked that question. I think are you referring to the Penguin update, Paul, that has taken place? That is impacting all the Google indexing and all the Google index websites across the board, irrespective or regardless of what platforms they're in. So that's hope that answers that for you. Okay, there's a question for Google Shopping from Polo as well. If I have 1,000+ part numbers on my stock system, how do I handle the link between my stock and Google Shopping information? Very good question, Polo. Again, they have APIs that can basically integrate your live feed with the Google Shopping interface, and your best bet would be to actually give the Google executive a call. If you require services to help you with this whole process, we can definitely help you with this process. Again, as I mentioned, you can contact Google, you can get in touch with us offline, and we can help you with handling a large number of part numbers that you have. Ken Johnson had a question. Do all these charge a fee? Yes, they definitely do, Ken. It really depends on, again, it's all PPC based. They also have other advertising platforms. So when you are submitting your product feed, then yes, you essentially have to engage in sort of like a PPC or a bidding platform so as to get your products to show. But they also have, technically they're comparison shopping engines. So you can upload your fee, and then after that, based on their algorithms, they pull the best of the best for the visitors that are coming to the website for comparison shopping. So you have to treat these kind of like search engines, kind of like Google in themselves, and either play the organic side or the PPC side of things with these websites. Ken had another question. Can you just be on the website without doing the PPC with these shopping engines? Yes, you can, Ken. With some of them, you definitely can. Again, it depends on the comparison shopping engines and their rules and regulations. But you definitely can be on some of them without bidding on them. How can I find the top shopping search engines in Brazil? Adriano has asked us, do you have some hint to qualify a good search engine? We can definitely research some search engines for you in Brazil. Adriano, I would say that the biggest traction for a search engine or a good quality shopping engine is the amount of traffic that it's really driving. So the first qualifier for really taking the time and the effort to uploading your merchant feed or your client's merchant feed would be, your product feed would be, does that site have a lot of traffic? And that's again based on the ranking. So if the site does have a lot of traffic going through it, then that's something that you definitely want to have a presence in. Great. I believe there was some issues with the audio. Greg talked about the fact that he has a prospect in need for local SEO. Can I understand your costs? Absolutely, Greg. So we'll have Armando get in touch with you at the end of this webinar, and he will give you a breakdown of the costs. Daniel had a question with regards to working with French ICs. Daniel, we've done selective work with French ICs in the past. We primarily focus on English, but this is again something that I will have Armando follow up with you individually on in terms of your requirements and how we can potentially fulfill these requirements for you. Great. There were some complaints about the audio. We'll definitely look into it and strengthen that part for our next webinar. Thank you once again. Thanks, Armando. Thanks to all the ICs for participating in this webinar. And we have another exciting one scheduled for you next week, so definitely look out for that webinar. Thanks once again, and have a terrific day, everyone.